What's amazing is he's in a wheelchair, but he has no sympathy for anyone or anyone.
He may have a personality disorder. First of all, not good looking. He doesn't speak very well. He doesn't have a good personality, and he's in a wheelchair.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you back to the Steve Malzberg Show. And joining us right now is James O'Keefe, founder of Project Veritas. And James, we almost got James. James was doing a story on the fact that he believes Andrew Cuomo, the governor of the state of New York, is trying to run him out of New York. You heard the comments. We played him a couple of days ago where Cuomo talked about how there's no place for staunch conservatives in New York State. And they were really chilling comments. We had Rob Astorino, the county executive of Westchester County in New York, who wants to run for governor as a Republican against Cuomo, weighing in on those remarks as well. And in the process, James O'Keefe has also come up with some interesting comments. You heard that video, and that video was made from supporters of Wendy Davis, who's running for governor, and it just blasts and mocks and makes fun of Greg Abbott, the Attorney General of the state of Texas, who's running against Wendy Davis, who's also a paraplegic. Joining us now is James O'Keefe. Hi, James.
Hi, how you doing? Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, great to talk to you again. So explain, before we get to Cuomo, explain this Wendy Davis video.
Yeah, so we released a video on Wendy Davis today. She was in the news. She's running against the Attorney General of Texas for running for governor in an election year. And there were some comments not recorded on tape about her campaign supporters making fun of disabled people because her opponent is in a wheelchair. So we actually caught on tape some statements that were made today.
Yeah, we just played that where they
okay.
talked about how he's not good looking, he doesn't speak well, and plus he's in a wheelchair, and they all laughed. Who exactly were those people?
So this is Battleground Texas. This is the political action committee that is trying to flip Texas from a Democratic Republican state into a Democratic state, and Battleground Texas is engaged in voter registration. They're trying to get Wendy Davis elected. So these are her. This is her branch of the reelection arm. So Wendy Davis has now responded to this video a few minutes ago, and she said, quote, "The language used in this video about Greg Abbott is abhorrent." So Wendy Davis has now responded. But the interesting thing is that if the Battleground Texas language is abhorrent, why does Wendy Davis put the same language in her campaign literature? And he says he's in a wheelchair and we want to stand with Wendy. So very interesting things are happening right today in regards to the election down there in Texas.
Yeah, and of course this all started, the Wendy Davis in the news business started recently with her bio being inaccurate, reportedly, and her lying under oath as to when she got her divorce, and making the story of her getting her law degree and having to struggle through law school when it turns out reportedly that her husband, her second husband, I believe, cashed in his 401k to send her to school, and then after that was over, I think she left him or they split up. So, and then orders from a judge that she couldn't have any alcohol or take any substances before 24 hours before seeing her kids. So, I mean, if this is what the Democrat candidates or the Democratic Party's hope to turn Texas blue, I think they made a big mistake.
Yeah, and that's something that we've discovered as well in the Battleground Texas voter fraud aspect. You know, at the end of this video, we hear one of the employees, one of the voter deputy registrars for Battleground Texas saying, she says, well, you know, you could just forge the name on the absentee ballot, the mail-in application, and the volunteer says, well, I didn't hear you say that. That's illegal, but, you know, let me cover my ears and pretend this never happened. So a lot of chicanery, a lot of illegal activity, and we have undercover people all throughout the state of Texas monitoring this, and this is one of many other investigations. But I think it's fascinating that Wendy Davis is condemning this while doing it.
Yeah,
in other words,
yeah.
she's condemning herself because her campaign has brought up the fact that he's in a wheelchair. So, and then I know Greg Abbott's going to go on TV and talk about this. The Attorney General's going to talk about this. So
good. Yeah, he's a great guy. We've had him on. I want to move on, James, to what we originally had you on for, and that was Governor Cuomo's remarks here in New York the other day about conservatives, and you say that Cuomo is trying to run you out of New York.
That's right. And we got a subpoena over the last week from the Board of Labor and they're asking for every single financial transaction over the last 3 years. Now, my organization, we have a nonprofit, Project Veritas, that conducts these investigations. We're actually incorporated in Virginia, and we maintain an office in Westchester County for the last year and a half. They want to see all my books for 3 years. I've been audited by the IRS. I had a self-audit last year. I paid a CPA to do an audit, 100% compliant. But they're asking for all these documentation, and they just keep asking us. They asked us in December. Now they're mandating me to attend a hearing, and I'm happy to cooperate. But I think there's some funny business going on, especially when there's so much corruption in the state of New York, and they're going after my organization and compelling me to give them every transaction. I'll comply, but I'm getting really tired of it, and frankly, I think I'm going to follow Sean Hannity's lead, and I think I'm going to leave New York. I think I'm going to, at least for the time being, go back to Jersey.
Well, and then you'd be my fellow New Jerseyite, I guess it is, or New Jerseyan, or whatever. But we don't have a cakewalk of a governor either, although he is a cakewalk compared to Cuomo. So what's your next step? I mean, you got to comply. You have to comply with these subpoenas.
Yeah, there's a subpoena that they sent to us. This New York State Department of Labor commanding me show up at a court on Tuesday and provide general ledger, journals, cash, payroll records, check stubs, copies of Social Security returns, and any other records for any payment to any person within my organization. And like I said, I'm happy to comply with all this stuff. It's not my first audit. I've been audited nonstop for the last 3 years, but I think it gives us pause. We got to take a step back and look at what's happening to our country right now. And I'm a journalist, okay, and I'm going to maintain a small nonprofit. When you look at the corruption in the state of New York, when it comes to the pension funds have been robbed and the state university system, all the stuff that's going on. I wasn't going to look into these things, Steve, but now I think I am. I think I'm going to do a video where I confront all these people and I say, what gives? Why are you doing this? Why are you harassing my journalists? Why are you giving me a hard time? I think the American people need to know that they think that this is just standard procedure. I think it's politically motivated.
Right.
And it's got to stop.
I hear you. Well, listen, as always, James, we admire you and keep up the good work, and thanks for coming on, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right, and of course, Project Veritas is the website, and check it out, Project Veritas, Veritas. James O'Keefe here on the Steve Malzberg Show. When we come back, Gary Anderson, NFL legend. He had a perfect season as a kicker. Place kicker with field goals. We'll talk to him about proposed rule changes and the Super Bowl matchup, and also, of course, the mouth of Richard Sherman on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.